Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Happy Friday, and welcome to Cultivating Conversations. I am your host, Stacy T. Cultivating Conversations is a podcast where we have thought provoking dialogue about life, love, the pursuit of happiness, and everything in between. So, this week is week 5. It's episode 6, but this is week 5 of the Successfully Single series. And if you saw on social media, tonight I was supposed to have my friend, the half of the dynamic duo that I call them, the Murrays. 2 weeks ago, I interviewed his wife, my friend Allison Murray, who's a fellow SU alum, Syracuse alum. And tonight I was supposed to interview Dwayne Murray, but he had a conflict with his schedule, so I had to pivot a bit. So if this is your first time joining me, welcome. If you're coming back, hey, what's up? What's going on? Good to see you back. So I'm going to Dwayne and I we're going to reschedule probably for next week Friday. But tonight I wanted to pivot, and I prayed and asked God, what part of singleness should I speak about? Like, what have I not touched? Um in addition to, like, or besides, rather, everything else that I've spoken about. And single parenthood came up in my spirit. So I want to just, before I start, like really start, I just want to say that, want to give a disclaimer that this may be a trigger warning, because I'm going to touch on some things. And even when I was writing my notes, there was some things that I even had to, like, take a breath when I was writing my notes and just thinking about my life as a single woman and as a single parent. So it might be triggering. So I want to it is my hope that those of you who will come and join or catch the replay, thanks for catching the replay. It is my hope that you would get what you need to get out of it and really think critically about life and where you are in life, especially me. I'm particularly speaking to those who are single parents, whether it's a single mom or a single dad. Now, before I start, let me just say that the definition of single parent, um I feel like that there's been some type of argument against what's a single parent and what's not. I've seen the argument on social media that if the other parent, who's not the custodial parent, is in the child's life, then the parent that is taking care of the child is not a single parent. And I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that if the parent is involved in the child's life, that that parent is not a single parent. Because here's the thing: being involved and being present 24/7 is two totally different things. Being involved as far as visitation, showing up at school for parent and teacher night and things like that, that's one thing. But being in the home, like if the child gets sick um in the middle of the night, both parents are not there. One to, like, take care of them, the other one to clean up, mess or whatever. The parent that is the custodial parent is the one that's taking care of the child. There's no one else with them. They are alone in that instance. So they are a single parent. That's my take on it. That's my definition. That's how I feel about it. Because I'm in that place where I am a single parent, and my daughters, their father is in their life, but for a good chunk of a lot of the things that have happened in their life, he was not there. He wasn't present. I was the one that had to take care of the majority of everything, and it was difficult, and this is no stain on him. Him and I, we have a great relationship. We're amicable, we're good. But the fact of the matter still is that I was a single parent. I am a single parent. There are a lot of instances and a lot of things that he just was not a part of on the onset, and I had to take care of. Okay. So that is what my definition of a single parent is. So there are a lot of men and women who are single parents. They take care of everything that needs to be taken care of for the child. Okay. There are single moms and there are single dads. Now here's the thing. Um we put a lot of emphasis on single moms, put a lot of emphasis on single moms because that is what is highlighted a lot, right? Single moms, single mothers, this, that, and the third. There are single fathers out there. There are single fathers out there. There are single men. And when I mean by single fathers, I don't mean single fathers that are there for visitation and pay child support. I'm talking about single fathers who are the custodial parent for their children, or they're single fathers, but it wasn't necessarily by choice. Because here's the thing, and this is not something that we talk about, and it could be a point of contention, but typically when we think about single mothers, we think about women who were done wrong by men and now they've become single moms. But there are single fathers who suffered heartbreak, who suffered, all types of, hurt and abandonment by women, who were abused, whether it was some physically, some verbally by women. And now they are single dads, but it's not because they wanted to be, it's because the woman was toxic. And that's not something that we talk about, but it is something that we should talk about because there's an unbalance there. And yes, there are more men, probably statistically, there are more men who step out and leave women, to carry the weight and to carry the load, and they're just out here sowing these seeds and so on and so forth. However, there is a demographic of men who are on the other side of that coin. And even though the statistics may not be as staggering as it is for single mothers, it is still something that needs to be talked about, and there should be attention paid to it. And here's the thing, when I was doing my research today and I was googling about single parents, right? There were so many links and so many articles, online articles about single moms, and I mean a plethora of articles about single moms, and everything was geared towards, just how to survive, and the things that single mothers go through. And I said, why is there so much emphasis just on single moms and not single dads? So I decided to Google single dads, and the articles and the topics that came up about single dads was about um how to date a single dad, rules for dating a single dad, how to be gentle with a single dad in the dating part. Like everything was about how to date and how to deal with a single dad. But when it came to single moms, that's my verbiage, that same grace wasn't given to single moms. It was just talking about all of the stress and all of the anxiety. And I'm going to get into that, the all of the things that single moms go through. And there was some things talking about, like articles and things talking about what single men go through, but I specifically Googled single parents, and all of these articles about single moms came up. So tonight, I want to talk about living successfully, being successfully single with kids, because a lot of times we talk about success, being successfully single, and we talk about, the hurt and the pain that we need to get through, and dating and these things, but we leave out a huge chunk of importance, and that is kids. Because for the most part, there are kids that are involved. For the most part, people have gotten into relationships, they've gotten into marriages, there are breakups, there are divorces, and there are kids. And we're still steady trying to date, we're steady trying to find our person, we're steady trying to find our life partner, but we have these little human beings that we have to raise and care for, even in the midst of doing all of that. So one part of being successfully single is making sure that there is a balance, even with having children, especially with having children. In my opinion, there should not be much thought to being in a relationship until you are completely whole, so that you can be whole for your children. Because those of us who've been through divorce and been through breakups, we know that our children feel what we're going through. They feel, when we're hurt and when we're in pain. And a lot of times, when we're in that hurt and when we're in that pain, we sometimes we don't realize, we're not cognizant of how we could be unintentionally bleeding on our children because of our hurt that we haven't dealt with. We don't know how to deal with it. And there's so many other variables, and there's so many other factors going on because children are involved. They just change the dynamic of everything. Okay. So I want to talk about the psychological effects of being a single parent. Now, when I looked at this article, and I was taking my notes, it was really talking about being a single mother. Okay. And here's the thing: you find more often than not single mothers going through the mental health issues that come with being a single mom. You find it more with mothers than fathers when it comes to single parenthood. But for the purposes of my podcast, I want to say single parents, because I know that there are men out there who are dealing with the same things that we see single moms go through. I know that there are single dads going through that or have gone through that. However, I really do want to kind of zero in on the mothers, because we really and truly feel the brunt of the mental health that that is affected because we are single moms. Okay. Case in point, in 2020, last year during the pandemic, a single mom tried to kill herself and her 5 children after learning that her boyfriend was married. I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to give any more information. I don't know the details. Okay. This just came from an article that I looked up when I was looking up single mothers, or I was looking up single parents, and this came up. I don't know the dynamic of, her boyfriend, who she found out was married. I guess because she was trying to commit suicide, she thought that this man was her man and he's a whole husband to somebody. She tries to commit suicide, okay? And tries to kill her 5 children. I don't know if all of these kids were the by this man. I don't know. But what I do know is that this single mom tried to commit suicide in 2020. In 2021, a 21 this year, and this was probably a month. I think this was last month. A 21-year-old mother of 2 posted a suicide note on Facebook and killed herself, committed suicide by being in a head-on collision after she lost her battle with depression. Now she was talking, she was, putting her business out there and talking about, the boyfriend. And there was some things that I read. but she was dealing with anxiety. She was dealing with depression. And she had mentioned something about just not being equipped to raise two children by herself. Okay. And I'll get into, that, because when we read these things, um, a lot of times, you know, uh, these types of situations open up conversation and banter and opinions of people to try to create their own um, opinion. They try to create their own hey girlfriend. They try to create their own idea of what may have happened to this person. And that's the thing that is so daunting. The fact of the matter is that these women tried. One of them succeeded. She actually she killed herself. Her children now do not have a mother because she was dealing with depression. Okay. An article in 2008 from the Daily Mail, which is a UK news uh, outlet, said that J.K. Rowling, she said that she considered suicide as a struggling mom. She struggled to survive as a single mom and a writer. This is the woman who wrote all of the Harry Potter books. Before Harry Potter, she was a single mom and she was struggling. So that's why I say that I want to encompass men and women, but I really want to zero in on the women because we are the ones that feel the brunt of everything that comes along with being a single mom. But men, I'm not leaving you out. And I want you to know that this is not a bashing session. I'm speaking for single parents, but I'm really zeroing in on single moms because I'm a single mom. But I know that there are men out there who are dealing with some pretty ugly situations at the hands of their children's mother. So I just wanted to put that caveat there that I understand. Okay. So psychological effects of being a single parent, but especially a single mother. Okay. Single moms are more likely to experience episodic and chronic depression, anxiety, abuse, stressful life events, low self esteem, social isolation, and lack of emotional support than that of a parent in a two family home. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Single moms are more likely to experience episodic and chronic depression, anxiety, substance abuse, stressful life events, low self esteem, social isolation, and lack of emotional support than that of a parent in a two parent home. Okay. And I already talked about, when Googling about single parenthood, there most of the articles was about single moms and not single dads. It was telling the women how to deal with single dads, but it wasn't talking about the grace that is needed for single moms. Okay. Um, yes, I got into all of that. So what I really want to hone into the mental space. Okay. I know that as single parents, we desire relationship, we desire companionship, especially if you've been married. Because, and this is why, I talk to singles and I talk to those who are single again, meaning you were married. Because when you are married, you understand the principles of marriage. You understand the principles of oneness. You understand the family unit, especially if children were born into the marriage. And when all of that separates, when all of that severs, when the marriage dies, and I've talked about this before, when the marriage dies, a piece of your person, who you were as that husband, who you were as that wife, dies. There's a tearing, there is a ripping. Okay. And not only does the parent suffer that, but also the child. And because of that, single parents have, both parents, they have the very hard and daunting task of not only healing themselves, but making sure that their children are healed and making sure that their children do not become any more broken or severed than they already are. Children, I mean, the younger they are, I'm not going to say that it doesn't affect them, but the younger they are, you can kind of like groom them into, but when they get into like the pre-adolescent age, 5 and 6 and 8 years old, it affects them. It affects them greatly. And you have to be concerned about your own healing and making sure that your child has their healing or gets their healing. Okay. This is why I say, and I'm gonna continue to say this throughout this episode, that please get counseling. Please get therapy. If you have been in any type of relationship, really, but especially a marriage, if you've been in any type of relationship and you've been hurt, or you have some type of about like the ex or what happened, you do not want your past to to hinder your present and your child's present and you and your child's future, because what affects you is going to affect your child. No matter how you try to hide it, it's going to trickle down. They're going to pick up on what you're feeling. Okay. 8 mental health challenges for single parents. Okay. For 8 mental health challenges that single moms face. And I say this because more likely than not, it is the man that walks away. Um, it is the man who gives the empty promises. It is the man who um shows up with his representative, and then months or years down the line, his true self stands up. Now, it is still also our responsibility as women to be whole when we get into these relationships, so that we are looking at the what is happening in the relationship with our mind and our heart, but really our mind, because the Bible says the heart is deceitfully wicked above all, who can know it. Okay, I had to go Bible real quick, because our heart will tell us he's a good man, he has potential, I can change him, I'm gonna be his ride or die, I'm gonna show him, what he can be and how I can be, and he is not there. And we fool ourselves to thinking that we are married to, in our mind, his potential, but we're living with and we're in relationship with his reality. And his reality is not his potential. And more often than not, we don't get to see his potential because we get ran through, and then he gets himself together for somebody else. So who's to blame? Who's to blame? Both. Everyone. However, at the end of the day, however it happens, however the breakup, however the separation, what happens is there are mental health, I don't want to use mental health. I don't want to say that. There are mental challenges and situations that take place, okay, as a result of being a single parent. However you get there, or whoever's fault it is, or whatever, you're here now. You're a single parent, you're a single mom, and here are 8 challenges that single parents, specifically single moms, go through. Okay, number 1, ongoing conflict with an ex. Okay. After a breakup, especially divorce, co-parenting can become tricky. It is a learned thing. It is a rhythm that has to be caught and rode. Is that correct? It has the wave. You gotta ride the wave. Both parents have to do it, okay? It becomes tricky, but it's best to seek peace and pursue it, even when you have to swallow your pride or refrain from retaliating verbally. It's hard. It's hard, especially when you're right. It's hard, okay? Now, here's the thing, by all means, your children should not be used as a pawn to cause pain to your ex, okay? Let me pause there, okay? Because this is on both sides of the aisle. There are men that the child comes over and he got a girlfriend or whatever, and he talking smack to the child, and now the child has to pick sides. It's not fair. Or the child is at home and the mother is constantly badgering and beating down and just talking ill about their father. And now the child is now they have a warped sense or a warped idea of who their father is based on the influence of their mother, or the other way around. Okay, seek peace and pursue it, because when you do those things, nobody wins. Okay, your children should not be used as a pawn to cause pain to your ex, nor should they be a counselor where you dump your feelings out about the other parent. I don't care how old they are. I can say this emphatically, and I can say it with my chest. I have never, okay? I have never, what's going on with my hair? See, this is what I do when I start messing with my hair. I have never talked ill about my ex-husband or my children's father to them. I've never spoken ill about him around them. Never. To the point where my children, I believe, were confused, because when we were in the same space, there wasn't any animosity, there wasn't any tension, but they knew that we were not together because he wasn't in the home anymore. To the point where my oldest had to ask me, what happened? Because I see y'all getting along, but he's not, like, what happened? Because my whole mantra was, I am going to make sure that I keep my hands clean. And whatever and however my children feel about their father is going to be by the work of his own hands. Okay? That was my thing. I got to keep my hands clean because, watch this, I have two daughters. I have two daughters who are going to become two women, and they're going to be two wives to two men. And I do not want my girls to be some man's headache. I know we talk about, the man, like, mothers raise your sons so that he won't be another woman's headache. But you know what? There are women that can be a man's headache. And I did not want that. I didn't want them growing up and feeling like, love wasn't for them, or they didn't want to get married because of what happened with us. I didn't want any of that. So I as much as I could help, I did not speak ill about him. If I needed to vent, because I had to vent sometimes, because I needed to vent, I vented to an adult, not to my children. Okay? Even to this day, I mean, my children are 16 and 20, and we have a great relationship, so it's not even necessary. But even when they were younger, like, it wasn't like that, because that is their father. At the end of the day, that's their father, that's their mother. Okay, but ongoing conflict with an ex can cause you to be mentally unstable. It can cause anxiety. It can cause an insurmountable amount of anger that can turn into wrath. You'd be surprised what you are capable of when you are angry. I'm telling you. I've seen it. I've seen it. Um, so if at all costs, seek peace and pursue it, even if you have to just hold your peace. And the Bible says, hold your peace and let the Lord fight your battles. And I promise you, he will. and it's going to be hard, but the peace that you get from just removing yourself from the toxicity, because you're not with the person anymore, and even though there's hurt on the onset, that's half the battle because you've already removed yourself from the toxicity. Don't allow yourself to walk back in it, because you may be in one place but the ex is in another, and until they catch up, you have to protect your space. Okay. Number two, these are the 8 mental health challenges that single parents, particularly single moms, go through. Okay. Number one was ongoing conflicts with an ex. Number two, financial insecurity. Okay. After a divorce, after, if you're living together, there was some payments, like whatever was going on. Financial insecurity causes a great deal of stress and anxiety because the single parent has to do everything on their own. Now, listen, I understand child support, right? Child support is to support the child, okay? It does not cover everything. Children get older. Okay. My girls, they went from, wearing uniforms and things like that for school. But when they got into junior high school, they started playing sports. So lacrosse sticks was $50. Lacrosse spikes, the sneakers, $90. They both played lacrosse. And then one went to track, and then the other one went to playing volleyball. And there were jerseys and shorts and knee pads and all of these things. And then there are clubs, and there's so many things. There are doctor bills, and then just the normal wear. And I was about to say wear and tear, just the normal living. Okay. Child support is to take care of the child, but the child still has to live in a home. And today, the way that the economy is set up, the way that the cost of living is set up, in order to live comfortably, there should be two parents, two working adults in the house in order for there to be comfort, food and utilities paid, and cable, so that they can be Wi-Fi, so that everybody can do their work. Those things that seem like they're just everyday things can be a burden to the single parent, can be a burden to the single mom who is not making the money that she needs to make, especially if she has more than one child. And now you have two children that you have to feed. You have two children that go through those growth spurts where they're wearing one size, and then 2 weeks later they're wearing another size, and then 3 weeks later they're jumping another size. And as soon as you buy them a whole bunch of clothes, now you're giving them away, and now they need something else, and you don't have the money, because now you have to pick between buying them something and getting food, or holding off on this bill and paying and having to pay a late payment, or keeping the lights on, or scrounging to tell them that, or working so that they can do something with their friends, because you don't want to be embarrassed because their friends are doing things and they can't do it, and you're the single parent, and you're the only one whose child can't do it because everybody else has it's exhausting. Okay. Financial insecurity causes a lot of stress. Okay. And if you are married and you're watching this, I want you to take note. If you, okay, Lord, if you are watching this and you are married and you are considering stepping out, leaving, separating, get a divorce, please, by all means, find a way. Find a way to fix it, because divorce and the separation and the severing and everything that comes along with it, it's real in these streets. It's not fun. It's not fun. The grass is not greener on that side. Now, I'm not talking about if, there's domestic violence. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about little petty dumb stuff, like y'all arguing and y'all just need to take your tail to a counselor and go and hash things out and not be prideful and see what the other. I'm talking about those things. Okay, fix it. If you are married and you know somebody who is a single parent, be gentle. Be gentle. Be gentle with them. Be gentle with them, especially around this time. And I thank God because He's so sovereign and He's so timely, because daylight savings time is coming on Sunday. And this is the season where depression kicks in and anxiety kicks in, because it's getting darker, it's getting colder, the temperatures are dropping. It's the holidays again. We don't know what mental space people are in. So if you know someone who is a single parent, just check up on them. Just be gentle with them. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Um, so 8 mental health challenges of single parents, single moms. 1, ongoing conflict with an ex. 2, financial insecurity. Number 3, sleep deprivation. Honey, okay, sleep deprivation. Because here's the thing: you got to get up, you have to go to work, you have to drop the child at school, the kids at school, you got to find after school care, you got to pick them up, you got to bring them home. Take off your clothes, get in the shower, do your homework. Let me see your homework. I got to check your homework. I got to sign up on your homework. Give me all of the papers. I got to sign for this. I got to sign for that. I got to go to parent and teacher conference. I have to cook. I got to go to the supermarket because I got to cook. I got to come home and cook. I got to make sure that y'all have some downtime. I got to talk to you halfway and then get you in the bed. And now the kids are in the bed. It's 8, 9, or 10 o'clock. Now I get to do everything that I need to do that I couldn't do because I was tending to the kids. I got to wash the dishes, maybe mop the floor. I got to clean the bathroom. I got to prepare for tomorrow. Maybe I have a presentation that I have to do for work. Maybe I have to do laundry because I forgot to do laundry, or I didn't have time. Now I'm doing all of the things that I should have been doing, or I couldn't do because I spent eight hours at work, and then come home and spend another 4 hours dealing with the children. And now the children are asleep. And now now I'm getting into bed 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then there may be some who are dealing with anxiety or not anxiety, insomnia, because you can go to sleep, but you're not resting. Okay, you can go to sleep, but you're not resting. So your body is asleep, but your mind is still going. So you wake up the next morning and you're tired. You may have slept dead sleep for 9 hours, but you're tired because your mind was going in your sleep. You didn't even realize it. And then you wake up to do the same thing all over again. Sleep deprivation. Okay. Number 4, weak support networks. Okay. Disconnection from community gives rise to feelings of alienation and hopelessness. Disconnection from community gives rise to feelings of alienation and hopelessness. Okay? A person who is newly divorced, who is going through a divorce, at some point, they might isolate themselves because the same circle that they had, they may not feel that it's a resource anymore because they don't feel like they fit there. I'm not getting called to come to the couples dinners. I'm not getting called to go, hang out with the ladies because they're going to be talking wife talk, and I'm not a wife anymore. I have these kids. I don't have time. Nobody wants to be like, I'm an anomaly, which you're not, but you feel like I'm an anomaly. Like, who am I going to hang out with? I don't have any friends anymore. So they isolate themselves and they feel hopeless. It's just me and my kids. It's just me and my kids. That's it. And when you have a weak support network, you don't have the community, you don't have the village of friends that will say, yeah, I'm married, but let's go to Target. Come with me to Target. I need to get something. Like, let's go to Starbucks and get some coffee. Like, it's Taco Tuesday. Let's go out for some tacos, or let's go on a trip. And I shouted out a couple of weeks ago my friends who are married, who have healthy marriages. But let me tell you, baby, when I'm like, I need to get away, they like, when we going? I love my friends, okay? And I pray that for those who do not have a support system that you will speak on it. Because the other thing is that as single parents, we cannot live in a bubble and expect people to know we're hurting, expect people to know when we need help. Some people just don't know. Some people just don't know what to say. They don't know when is the right time because they know that you're going through what you're going through. Okay. You do not need to be alienated and hope and feeling hopeless, because here's the thing. This is when the enemy comes. The enemy comes and says, see, you by yourself, you got these kids, it's just, this is the way it's gonna be for you. Don't Ain't nobody gonna love you, ain't no man gonna want to be with you, ain't no woman gonna want to put up with the baby mama drama that you got going with, sir. Like, and that is the lie from the pit of hell. Okay, so we gotta surround ourselves, find our tribe, and that's easier said than done because people are weird these days, and everybody that's in the boat with you is not rowing in the same direction and things like that. So you do have to be careful and be discerning, but you do need a sense of security and community, because a weak support network is going to impede on your mental health, because everybody needs a break sometime. Everybody needs a break. Okay. Everybody needs a break. And especially the single parent, they need a break. Even if it's a play date with the child going to, somebody's house. And let me tell you something, it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. I promise you, I have a 20 and a 16-year-old. Now, there are other challenges that come with that, like them wanting to take your car and then them being out, and you got to pray and lay on your face that, the Lord cover them when they're out, hanging out and things like that. But time opens up for you as the children get older. Okay. There's just those rough patches of those young years that you have to get through, but we're going to get through them in Jesus' name. Okay. Number 5, 8 things that serve as mental health challenges as a single parent. A child with special needs. Okay. It's one thing to be in a 2-parent house and have a child that is mentally or physically, emotionally challenged. They're on the spectrum, they're autistic. But when you are a single parent and you have to deal with that, I can't imagine. I'm speaking just from my imagining, just dealing with the challenges that come with a child that has challenges, okay, that can serve as something that will weigh on a single parent mentally. And if you are a single parent, I really want you to breathe, but I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this critically, because sometimes the things that we have going on in our life, or rather the results of things: hair thinning and falling out, losing weight, can't sleep, crying, not eating, just off, snappy, and we don't understand why we're like this. And it's because of the effects of our environment and the cards that we were dealt with. So I want us to think critically about, why are we moving and operating the way that we are? Okay. um Number 6, a history of abuse, okay, can serve as it can cause mental health challenges, okay? Abuse is not only physical, okay? We just came out of domestic violence month, which was I think in September, I think. Abuse is not just physical. There is physical, emotional, and mental abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, and other avenues of abuse. And this will certainly play on the psyche of a single parent. Being told that you're not pretty, or the a spouse cheating on you, and throwing it up in your face and telling you whatever, whatever There's so many different types of abuse other than physical, and those things can serve. And the thing is that long after that relationship has dissolved, the feelings and the residue from what you battled with and survived is still there. It's still there. It's still there to haunt you. It's still there to be a trigger. It's still there to be a block to anybody who would try to love you. It's still there. Okay. Number 7, stigma and judgment. Okay. Stereotypes from various people. For those of you who just joined, I was talking about these 3 instances that I looked up. There was a young lady in 2020 who tried to kill herself and her 5 children because she found out that her boyfriend was actually a married man. Last month there was a 21-year-old young woman who vented on social media, on Facebook, and took her life by going like being in a head-on collision, and she killed herself and left her 2 children because she just couldn't take being a single mom. And then there was a famous author who talked about how she contemplated suicide while she was surviving as a single mom and struggling to be a writer. And in these instances, and we all have stories and know of people who were, married in a relationship, got pregnant, had a child, or whatever. And, the questions and the opinions, that tie into the stigmas. Well, why did you get with him? Well, you ain't know that he wasn't nothing, and you ain't see, because you don't know yourself. And if you had known yourself and if you loved yourself, you wouldn't have got tied up with him. Or you should have known, or you should have known that she was crazy and this, that, and the third, but you sticking your stuff in, and now this, that, and the third, and now she pregnant, and blah 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 blah, or whose fault it was, and who left, and who didn't do what. And all of these stigmas that come with single parenthood, as if most people get into I just specifically speaking of a marriage, everybody doesn't get into a marriage to get divorced. Nobody goes through all of the thousands of dollars that you pay for a wedding, and you stand up there in the dress and the vows and this, that, and the third, and they say, oh, but one day I'll probably be divorced. Nobody wants that. So a lot of people who are single parents was by force and not by choice. But because of the stigma, and because of how, because it's one thing, and I've talked about how singles are discarded and things like that, but being a single with children, were you married or were you not married? Oh, you wasn't married, so this is your baby mama and baby daddy, and all of these stigmas. And we don't understand that when we make comments like that, when we are just off kilter with our opinions about how people got into the predicament that they're in, we have to be gentle with people, because we don't know. We don't know. Yes, there are women who trap men and get pregnant and poke holes in condoms and do all types of crazy stuff. And then you end up as a single mom because that man ain't want to be with you, but you tricked him. Yeah. There are men who are just loose out here, who are just making babies all over the place, and now you gotta pay all this child support and you ain't got no money. Yeah. But however, there are those who honestly was with somebody that they loved that didn't love them. They were with somebody that they honestly saw a future with, but that person didn't see the future with them. There are people who were in a marriage or a relationship where the person, I say it again, showed up and sent their representative. And then down the line, their true colors showed up, and they were a total whole not so good person, because I don't want to curse. So we have to stop with the stigmas. We have to stop with the stigmas and be mindful, especially if it's, we're just so loose with our words. We're so loose with our posts. We're so loose with the things that we share. And because we're so busy wanting, I think I'm on my soapbox now, and I'm getting hot. because we're on our soapbox. So I'm on my soapbox because we are we want likes and we want to sound whatever and we want to be whatever, and we don't count the cost of the people who our posts, our comments are going to reach. And it's just so incredibly selfish, the way that we do things. We need to be mindful when it comes to single parents, and I'm talking about being successfully single. I didn't forget, so I'm not going to leave us here with these 8 mental health challenges that happen when we are heartbroken and having to deal with children and things like that. Okay, number 8. So we are talking about the 8 mental health challenges that single parents, particularly single mothers, go through. Okay, so number 1 was ongoing conflict with an ex. Number 2, financial security. Number 3, sleep deprivation. Excuse me. Number 4, weak support networks. Number 5, a child with special needs. 6, history of abuse. 7, stigma and judgment. And 8, inadequate self-care. It's a buzz. It's a thing. It's a trend. Self-care. Who's doing it? Okay, because I was talking about earlier, after you finish going through your 12-hour work day with work at work and work at home combined, you're tired. You're tired, okay? We're so busy with our children and all the other things that we have going on that we do not adequately take care of ourselves. What does taking care of ourselves look like? So if you head to my website, www.idesignbeauty.com, I have a bunch of wonderful self-care bath and beauty, skincare, and hair care products that you can use, because my products are not only good for the skin, but they are nourishing to the soul. Just wanted to do that. Have my little shameless plug. No, seriously. Adequate self-care. We have to take time to breathe, take time to just check out, take time to just center ourselves so that we don't burn out, because if we're not good to ourselves, we're not going to be any good to our children, and our children, they need us. Okay, so I did the 8 challenges, mental health situations that happen as a result of being a single parent. But now I'm going to give you 7 tips, because 7 is the number of completion. 7 tips on how to be successfully single with kids. How to be successfully single with children in them. Okay. Number one. Be proactive about your healing. Be proactive about your healing. Because here's the thing. I know they say time heals all wounds. However, how much time it takes is more up to you than it is up to the wound. Okay? If you have a gunshot, time is not going to heal that wound. You need to take your tail to the ER and get the bullet removed and get some sutures and stitches and then go through your healing process. Maybe a paper cut. Time heals all wounds, but a bullet, not so much. Okay. Same thing applies. There are certain things that happen in our life. There are certain things that happen in relationships. There are certain things that happen in a marriage and as the result of a divorce that need some care. Okay. And I'll say it again, seek a therapist, seek a counselor. Yes, having somebody that that is trusted, that you can talk to, is wonderful. But I promise you, counseling is the best thing you could ever do. It's the absolute best thing that you could ever do, because counselors and therapists, they are board certified. They are professionals. They know how to help you work through and navigate through your pain and the issues and help you to discover your healing. Okay. I'm not a therapist. Tonight, I'm speaking Specifically, yes, I do. And Gidget, I'm not sure if you are still on here. But Gidget is a marriage and family therapist. Um, Gidget, if you're on here, drop your link. If not, when I finish coming off my live, Tasha, I will drop her link. She has a podcast on Mondays called Mental Health Movements. She's also right now she's doing a seminar, a webinar on I don't want to speak for her because I can't remember, but it's something about dealing with brokenness, I think, in healing and things like that. But I'll give you her information. Um, but yeah, proactive about your healing. Okay, counseling is one thing, is one way. Having a social outlet, whatever that looks like. And by social outlet, I do not mean social media, okay? Because social media will be out here making you feel like you are a loser because you ain't got nobody, you ain't with nobody, you ain't dressing like nothing, you ain't going nowhere. Because people just do the most because they want to attract and make everything look like they are just the most perfect thing on earth, okay? And I'm not hating on nobody, because everybody is not like that. Some people just want to show what they're doing, but some people, they do the most. Okay, I'm not talking about social media, I'm talking about social. I'm talking about going out, I'm talking about going to catch a comedy show, because outside is kind of open a little bit somewhat. So catch a comedy show, the movie theaters are open, go to the movies. Okay, um there are a lot of there are museums that are open, there are places that you can go. It's getting kind of cold now, but there are things that you can do, and there are things that you can do for free. Okay, so counseling and having a social outlet. Okay, the third part of being proactive about your healing is avoid playing the victim role. I know this is hard. I know this is hard, because when you've been stepped on and you've been done wrong, you want to ride that thing out. Like, no, I was the one that was done wrong. I would At some point, you have to put on your big girl drawers, or your big girl panties and your big boy drawers, because boys don't wear panties. And you have to take control of your life. You have to take control of the fact that, yes, this happened. And yes, he hurt me. Yes, she hurt me. But you know what? I need to take my life back. I need to take my heart back. And I need to take my power back, so that I can be healed, so I can be whole for myself, so that I can be whole for my daughter, whole for my son, so I can be whole for my family, so that my house can be a home of refuge, and a home of serenity, and not of tension and anger and depression because of what this person did to me. At some point, you have to let it go. You have to let it go. And I saw this meme, and I saw it today. I've seen it before, where it's a meme of somebody holding a rope, and they're holding the rope, but their hands are like bruised and bleeding. But when they let it go, their hands are regular. And it's basically saying that sometimes we think holding on is the best thing, but it hurts us. It's the letting go. It's the letting go that heals us, and not the holding on. There's no power in holding on. There's no power in rehearsing what happened. There's no power to go into anyone that will listen to talk to them about how this person hurt you. There's no power in that. All you're doing is slandering, and then you're going to be responsible for dragging a person for something that they did, that they may have very well repented for from the heart, and God has forgiven them, and they're moving on with their life, but you're still stuck. So then you possibly, I'll give this scenario, you'll possibly see somebody that hurt you, dogs you out, and they married and living their life. And you sitting here seething and bitter, and you feel like it's unfair that they got to go on with their life and you didn't. When you had every right to go on with yours, but you wanted to hold on. But they probably repented, and because they repented to God, because He's no respecter of person, when you truly repent to God, He's going to clean you, or He is faithful to His word. But you still, or we're still, I say we because I don't want to point fingers, we still over here bitter. We have to let it go. We got to let it go so that we can have the life that God wants for us. Okay? Because it's not going to come in the bitterness, because now the next person is going to reap the benefits or the lack thereof, reap the pain that somebody inflicted on you. Okay? Be proactive about your feeling. 7 tips on how to be successfully single with Sharon. Okay. Number 2, seek peace and pursue it. Make peace with your ex. Okay. Don't put your children in a position where they have to choose one parent over the other. Don't put your children in a position where they have to choose one parent over the other. It's not fair. They didn't ask for us to lay down and spread our legs and fly away and conceive them. They didn't ask for it. So they don't deserve to choose sides, because when parents split, especially in a divorce where there is a whole household, I don't know why, but children automatically believe that they are like the separation of the parents is their fault. They automatically believe that. And children have a way of containing what they're feeling, but they don't know how to express it, but it'll come out in their behavior. It'll come out in so many different ways. So you already, as a single parent, have the responsibility to mend and mold them and help them through their process. They don't need negative help in having to choose a spouse. Seek peace and pursue it. Find a common ground with that ex. Okay? Have your come to Jesus moment that it's over and we're not going to be together. And this person could very well move on. And I have to prepare myself for that. I had to prepare myself for that so I could prepare my children for it. Okay? You have to prepare yourself for it so that you could prepare your children for it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Seek peace and pursue it. Okay. Number 3, prioritize. Prioritize everything that is on your plate. I talked about the 12-hour workday. I talked about, what you have to do from sun up to sundown and how we typically don't have time for ourselves. Everything doesn't have to be done. And I had to talk to myself when I was writing this. I said, Jesus, you coming for me? Because, as a preacher, it got to hit you before the people. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. You talking to me, Lord? Because I have this very bad habit of feeling like everything is a priority. Everything is a priority because I just like to see things done. Everything is not a priority. It's just not. Something does not have to be done at that moment. And I'm learning how to just not do it. It'll get done tomorrow, or it'll get done when it gets done, unless it's something that is a priority, but everything is not a priority. So I say to you, prioritize. You cannot do everything. Set the cape on fire and don't sweat the small stuff. Set the cape on fire. The whole Superman thing is played. It's played out. It's played out. We don't like it. We don't want it. We don't want to be in a hospital with hypertension and high blood pressure and high everything else because we're doing the most. Okay? We don't have to do everything. So prioritize, okay? 7 tips on how to be successfully single with kids. Number 1, be proactive about your healing. Number 2, seek peace and pursue it. Number 3, Prioritize. Number 4, create a support network. I kind of went into this in the other half, the first half. Find and create a network of like-minded individuals who understand your struggle but will challenge you to be and do better. Not a misery loves company type of vibe. What am I saying? Birds of a feather flock together. If I am going through and I'm newly, broken up and all of this stuff, I don't need to be talking to somebody who just broke up with their boo, ex boo, whatever. Because what we're going to do, we're going to exchange pain. We're going to have a common ground of pain. You need somebody that's going to say, sis, I understand, but what you going to do about it? What is your list for this weekend? What time are you going to bed tonight? What kind of self-care things are you going to do this weekend? What you doing on Sunday? We going to church together. And after church, we going out to eat. I need to go to, I don't know what it is about Target. Is Target calling me? Do I need to go to Target for anything? I don't think I need to go to Target for anything. Let's go to Target. Okay, let's do whatever. Okay, find a tribe of like-minded individuals, preferably some who are successfully single, who are doing the parenting thing, some who have children the same age as yours, who who found their rhythm, some who are older, so that they can give you hope and be like, look, sis, there's gonna come a time where you don't have to do your child's hair because she gonna do her own. Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. You don't have to cook all the time because they get up and make their own cereal and eggs, and you can lay in your good old bed on Saturday and you won't have to hear mommy, 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 I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. You can fix your own plate and wash the dish. Glory be to God. You need people like that so that you can have hope, because you be out in these streets thinking like, is this ever going to end? Because you're a parent forever, but is this ever going to end? Yes, it changes and it gets better. Okay. Number 5, let go of the baggage. You can't change the past. Okay. If I knew then what I know now, I wish I could have, I should have. And we know. But what I know to be a fact, and one of the big things that really kept me from going down that rabbit hole of regret, because you will jump into that hole, and then there are others that will try to pull you down, like, girl, you should have known, and what was you thinking, and all of this other foolishness that people say, and they just talking out the side of their mouth and they don't know what they are saying. The past is the past. But here's the thing: God knew every single thing that will happen in your life. He knew that this person probably wasn't going to be the best for you, but allowing you to get with that person and be with that person, even through the pain, would bring your relationship with God to such a place where you would say, as Paul said, it was good that I have been afflicted. He knows. He knows. So everything that has happened in your life, even though we would have rather it not happen, it had to happen. It all had to happen, because even with the pain and everything, I know that you know God a little better. I know that you're striving to know him, period. Okay. So make peace with your past and know that you can't change it. Be focused on your current and be excited about your future, but plan for it. And you cannot plan for your future by being focused on your past. You can't. And don't, and yeah, let go of the baggage. Number 6, create a routine and stick to it. Okay. I was talking about prioritizing, I think, in number 3. Okay. Create a routine and stick to it. I want you to sit down and list out the things that you have to do on a weekday and things that you have to do on the weekend and all of your responsibilities. And it may seem daunting, but I guarantee that as you make that list, you're going to see what really is a priority and what really is not. Like, what am I doing? And I don't really have to do this right now. Like, I don't have to do this all the time, or I could do this twice a week instead of every day. Like, create a routine and stick to it. Okay. Because being a scatterbrain and being all over the place, that's what creates the anxiety, that's what creates the worry, that's what creates the frustration and the fear. That's what causes insomnia, not being able to think, not being able to sleep, and then it causes anger. It just spirals into so many different things. Okay, create a routine and stick to it. And number 7 of the 7 things you can do to be successfully single with kids is schedule me time, please. Especially because it's getting late, especially because it's getting dark early. Schedule me time. If your children are older, okay? Um give them chores. Put a broom in their hand, a vacuum. Somebody got the dishes, somebody has the garbage. Okay? Somebody has the bathroom, somebody has the kitchen, somebody is on mopping duty. Split the chores so that you don't have to do everything, so that you can free up that time so that you can have your me time. Okay? I have wonderful candles on my website. I have wonderful aromatic bath salts and all of those great things that will either take you to the Caribbean or they would take you to the spa. So I didn't even put my website down, but in any case, um that's it, folks. Okay. We talked about the mental health challenges, but we talked about the things that we can do, and we can do it. I'm a living witness. I don't have it all figured out because I still have to do my prioritizing. I have a lot on my plate this semester. I'm in school, working full time, entrepreneur full time, got some other things going on. It's a lot. So my takeaway is I have to prioritize and I have to make my routine and I have to stick to it. So I hope that you found this very, very helpful. I hope that you have some takeaways, and I hope that this is something that you can replay. You can share it with those that you know who are single parents, because as I said in the beginning, the holidays are coming. COVID is still out there. There's still so much going on, and I want us all to be in a great place spiritually and mentally and emotionally. Okay, so the Successfully Single series continues. um Clubhouse this Wednesday. I've last week I just couldn't because I had to prioritize. But this Wednesday I want us to talk about being successfully single. So I have a club called Cultivating Conversations. If you're on Clubhouse, you can click on the green button. You can join my club and then you'll be notified when the room is opening. And we're going to talk about tonight because it's nice for the comments. And thank you all who have joined me, and thank you for the comments. But I want to hear from you. I want us to talk about these tactics and these tools of being successfully single with kids. And I want to hear if you have additional tools. So meet me on Clubhouse on Wednesday, November 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then next week, Friday, we're going to continue in this is going to be the last installment, I think, of the Successfully Single series. And my guest that was supposed to come on tonight, we're going to make it happen for next week, because 2 weeks ago, like I said, his beautiful wife Allison was on, and she gave so many great she gave so much great insight on what she learned as a single woman, even after being married. And she's happily married to Dwayne Murray, who I'm going to have as my guest next week, and we're going to talk about the heart of a man. So I'm going to be asking him some questions that a lot of us ladies, have about men and how men tick and how men think, because men are weird. Men are weird. And I'm sure they equally think the same about us, but it's okay. We're going to talk about it next week on Friday. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being a part tonight. I love you all. So make sure that you continue to wear your mask, drink your water, check up on somebody who is a single parent. Um, just a phone call, a text, just thinking about you, making sure you're okay. Seriously, because there's a lot that plays on the psyche, and you never know what someone is going through, especially when they have to deal with heartache and heartbreak and financial instability and children and challenges and all of those things. All right. I love you guys, and I will see you all next week. To God be all of the glory. See you guys next week.